Welcome back to Agentic AI Tech. This is going to be the episode 2 of our Agentic AI Mastery series. In our last video, we explored what are AI agents and how they sense, they plan, they act. But today, we are just taking into a step further. We are just diving into the world of Agentic AI. You can just simply put it like a next evolution of our AI agents. So these are basically an autonomous system that can make a decision, make their by its own, acts without any human interaction or any human instruction, and continuously adapt to the world around them. So it's not about these agents are advanced technique, like you can say about the reinforcement learning, deep learning. They just reinforcement learning to basically they use for to learn from the action and the reward. Deep learning they use to understand the complex input like language, image, or multi-step goals. So they improve, they optimize, and they engage in complex behavior on their own. So this is basically what you just see about the definition of agentic AI. So whenever you are going to use an agentic AI, you can use in various type of places like finance, that making the autonomous trading. You can go with the logistic, that managing the entire supply chain. You can talk about the healthcare, that personalizing the treatment, and somewhere like smart home, that automatic your daily life based on your patterns and the goal. We are just going to take this one in much details in the further slide. So now we can just wrap up into this slide, like, so the question is not just what can AI do, it's now what can AI decide to do. I hope you understand. What can AI decide to do? That's an agentic AI shift. And in the rest of our video, we'll just break down this into code traits like and the architecture and the real world design of the agentic AI. So now we are going with the next slide. So next slide is all about the big difference between a regular AI agent and the truly agentic AI system. So these are the big difference between various type of AI agent and agentic AI, and we will just deep dive into these all things. A standard AI agent just receive a task. Okay, you can just see in the left side, it just receive a task and just complete it whenever asked, and that's it. So it does not remember the past action, it does not reflect, it does not react. So it is just like a stateless, reactive, and transactional. That's it. You can just think about like a chatbot or any navigation bot that just follow a simple input and output patterns. You can just take even the chat gpt, they are the generation model. You just give some of the input and they will just give you some of your output. But now just look at the right side. This is the system that does not just wait for the instruction. It just can purse our, you can just say it can purse our the goal, make decision, act in truly autonomous manner. It just learn, it reflect, and it basically remembers. So agentic AI is built to operate on the loop. You can just say like it start with a goal, it go with the plan, it go with the act, and it go with the reflect. And this is the refine itself based on based on the results. So we'll just again talk into really into deep about this all thing. I hope so you understand exact the normal definition between or difference between the AI agent and agentic AI. So now on the right hand side, it is much in detail what's the definition of AI agent and agentic AI. You can just see it's like AI agent is like a software program that senses the environment and acts upon it. We have just talked much of the things in the previous video, but in this video we are just going to more focus on agentic AI. What definition of agentic AI we saw in the last previous slide? A goal that drive the system, that plan, execute, reflect, and refine autonomous without any human intervention in the loop. That was the definition between agentic AI and AI agent. Is basically an autonomous, is basic autonomous. It acts based on the input. Whatever you are just planning to give the input, it the AI agent is going to act. But whenever you are just talking about agentic AI, it's like high autonomous system you are just developing that can act independent without it adapt over the time without any human in the loop. Whenever you are just talking about the intelligent type between AI agent and agentic AI agent, where you will define some rule based, you'll just define a reactive or any trained model you are using somewhere like LLM's model and all. But what how you can make this one into intelligent AI agent? You can convert any AI agent to agentic AI by just having all this thing into AI agent, something like it can, you can just have something like reflective and adaptive. You can use a memory, you can just use a reasoning, you can give us the planning. These all thing details you can give to the AI agent, and you can convert to AI agent to agentic AI. Something like architecture, you are just going to see about AI agent in like perception, and then after it's follow with the action loop. But whenever you are just going with the detail of agentic AI, it start with a goal, plan, act and reflect. Basically it refine loop, it is going to be in the loop, and it has the memory, it has the long term memory as well as the short term memory, so that it can improve over the time. It can take collection from the user, feedback from the user. That's what we call as learning and the feedback. So we have limited in the AI gen, but there is really strong feedback in this agentic AI. It works like dynamically. It just decompose and adapt the plan to reach that goals. Whenever we are just talking about the memory, it just limited, or we can just say it's like offline learning which we have with the AI agent. You are just training your data. But whenever you are just talking about the agentic AI, they use just continuous learning through the feedback loop, and that we call as in memory. And decision making, whenever you are just talking about the AI agent, usually it like stateless or limited in the context. But we have a strong, we can just say short term plus long term memory. We have a strong memory in the agentic AI that can store in any of the vector form like DynamoDB or any other vector for historical context. Some of the person, if they know, the agentic AI know that specific person with the based on the history, they can just act, plan, reflect whatever based on the requirement of that user. And we can just take a real example like chatbot. You are just talking about any chat GPT and all. It's like a UI where you are just interacting, nothing more, that you are just asking some of the question, it is just going to give us the response, but you are not making any agentic AI solution, that in navigation bot and all. But whenever you are just talking about the agentic AI, like complex goal management in the finance, in the logistic, in the marketing and personalized healthcare system, we are just going to talk this thing again in the more details. So we can just wrap up this slide. Is basically this compromise basically because if you want to understand and the shift to AI agent to agentic AI, you will just understand what the power of the next generation of intelligence system we have. So we go with the deeper, always ask yourself, it's like a reactive AI or it like agentic intelligence in the action. Okay, so now we can just move in the further slide where we just talk about agentic AI evolution. So this is going to be how did it all start. Now let's take like step back and look at the bigger picture. How did we get there? How did we get here? How did we go from a simple automation to agentic AI solution? We just what basically that this slide show like evolution of intelligence from the script to a system that plan, that act and that reflect. Let's walk through step by step, and then after I will just go with the first approach, that is process automation. Okay, so I will begin with the process automation. We'll go with the, then we will go with the next of the evolution of how agentic AI has been evolved. The first one is here, we just use a script to automate any repeated tasks. We just make a workflow like moving a data, cleaning buttons or sending emails. So this, there is no intelligence here. It's just like if this then that, like this and that, you are just applying some of the if else condition to automate that script. We have then after we call as supervised AI ML. So next we introduce machine learning. Again, this machine learning is basically now instead of hard coding everything, we just train our models using a label data set. Some this system learn the pattern to follow the prediction and the classification like detection, fraud or any of the things like prediction churn. These are the part of the supervised AI ML. Smarter than a script, but still only a good as a training data. We have a training data we need to give to this machine learning models. It might be smarter than the script, but again there are a lot of things it cannot be reactive, it cannot be learned. There are a lot of things that is missing again in the supervised AI ML. Now we are moving with the generative AI. So they then come into the rise of the generative AI with a large language model like GPT and Cloudy. We just move from the rules to a prompt. Now you can generate a next image, even the code from a natural language. You just type, just give me the code of xyz and whatever you have, and the whatever the llms model which you are using, chat gpt or any cloudy, they are going to give us the response based on the prompt, whatever the prompt you are just passing to this llm models. Llm model can be any of the things, powerful, but still it does not really plan, remember or act in the loop. Now we are going with the agentic AI. So finally we arrived to the agentic AI. Now you will just understand this is not just about the generating the output. We this is just about like it's about working like an intelligent or collaborator. So the flow is no longer or linear. It's like a cyclic we have. You will have a goal. The agent set a goal. Basically we have a goal, then we the builds a plan, take a action based on this whatever the data system integration. It's like they have a memory, and then checking the outcomes and adjust the behavior. So basically this is the main things that's happened inside this agentic AI, and that's what makes it truly intelligent system. So we agentic AI where you will have a goals, whatever the input you are going to give. So agentic AI is just going to decompose everything into a goal. They just start with a plan, then plan actually they just collect all the information they have in the knowledge base, in the vector database they have stored. That's why we call it long memory and short term memory. And then after it just based on that whatever the input data and whatever the goal it has, it just act and it just reflect and it just give the response, even it just collect the feedback from that. So this is what all about is basically agentic AI system. So finally recap, we can just say we have gone from automation to predicting to generating, and finally we are just entering the era of autonomous intelligence. That is what agentic AI, and that is the future we are just learning to build. Okay, so now we can go with the fourth slide, that is agentic AI capabilities. We are just going to talk various type of capabilities that we have for the AI agent. One major ability is like it just sometimes called task decomposition. So one we can just say it's like a agent ability. Okay, so if we whenever we are just talking about the task decomposition, whatever we are just having something like goal is basically we are just decomposing our task. So basically it's an agent that ability to take the complex goal and break down into a smarter manageable steps, so that it can just have it is basically based on this tool and the agent available at that moment. This is what the transforming from a single instruction into a full strategy. So task decomposition, in the left side you can just check the user give a high level goal, like for example summarize a 100-page documentation and generate a report. This is going to be, let's suppose they're going to be a some one task. And now instead of planning, the agentic AI system start with breaking into a smaller task. Step 1. Step 2 is going to assigning each task to a right model or the agent. Inside the agentic AI, you will find multi-agent system. Again, the multi-agent system we are going to talk in the next video. But again, multi-agent system is basically you will have one agent. Every agent will have different work. Now see, this agentic AI system is really that smarter. It can just assign to specific agent the specific work. The step 3 is basically resemble, so it's like the result whatever the fulfill we have, it just reach toward the final goal. And this happen basically is dynamic at runtime depending on what tools, agent or memory is available. Then we have a chain of thought. Now think like okay, now just this bring up is the popular method called a chain of thought prompting. So these techniques help the system think about like problem step by step, like a trial of a breadcrumbs, rather than just jumping to a final answer. It is especially useful whenever we are solving all multi-parts problem like math, reasoning or logic behind the workflow. You can think of this like agent through the process laid our clarity before that acting. Correct? So this is the visualization diagram you can just see over the right side. So it's like a single goal, okay, and it like analyze the camping and then get broken into a smaller types, such as pulling a data, running a prediction, or just generating a summary based on whatever the example which I was just giving. So each task may involve into a different model or tools, like different agent. It can have the task 1 with the one agent, task 2 is going to be the different agent, task 3 is going to be the different agent. So but they are dictate back together to serve with a larger goal. So this is the heart of agentic thinking. We have a goal, we just decompose. We have a goal, we just decompose, we just execute, and then after we just reflect and we just give the response. So this is how it's all about agentic AI capabilities on the task decomposition. Now we are just going to move with the again one more capabilities, that autonomous decision making. So far we have just talked about the task decomposition and the planning. One of the most powerful capabilities of agentic AI is like autonomous decision making. So this agent can make decision without needed any human in the loop. There will be no human in the input. So this basically, they look at the available data, they just monitor it, just perform and decide the next best action on its own without any human in the loop. So that what we call as autonomous decision making. So at the top left you can just see about this one. It's like a definition, you can just see like the AI agent can analyze the data in the real time, understand if the plan is working and choose how it's going to be respond. So this means it's just like completing a checklist. It's just thinking, it's just adjusting, and it's just optimizing. Correct? Now let's break down this process into this right diagram, how it is work based on this. So it start with a user query, just like before, whatever the query we have just given for summarizing of any PDF 100 page into a summary. So the agent basically create a initial plan. This is the plan and execute it. Now, but here is the difference. It does not stop there. So it just continuously monitor that task using a performance feedback or any evaluate system that you are using in that agentic AI system. If something off, it can actually add a new task or just change the flow on its own without human reprogramming that. That's the intelligence in the action what we need. So autonomous in the action is basically, imagine you have built a workflow in some time like a AWS Bedrock flow and something like this. An agent notice a step is not performing well. Maybe a query is too slow or the model is not going to give us the confident result. So what it can do, it can decide, reprompt and call the different tools or add another check without being told. So that's a real difference between awareness plus adaptation, that we call as a awareness plus adaptation. The final line we can just conclude about this slide. So autonomous decision making is what turns an AI from a tools into a teammates. This is where the agentic AI stop being reactive and start being self-sufficient. So in the next part again we will just see various type of capabilities we have, and this is going to be one of the most important thing that we call as in memory management. So we have seen how agent make autonomous decision, but here something is just important, maybe even more. Can they remember what happens? Can they learn across season, or can they stay smarter over the time? That's what memory management comes in. So in agentic AI system, memory is not just about fact, it's just about context across the task, context across the user, and context across the time. Without it, agent repeat the mistake, forget the goal and lose continuously. So memory become the backbone of sustainable intelligence. So we are just going to talk about we just talk about the memory management. We'll just talk about the long term memory. So mostly model like LLMs operate with the limited short term memory. They can only remember what is the current prompt or the window size they are going to use. But the agentic system need more. They need a long term memory so that they can store in the knowledge, retrieve from the past experience, build what they have done before. That's where look like a vector database come in. So memory type, whenever we are just talking about this memory type, as you can see in this diagram, we just break down into two main parts. The first one is a in context short term memory, what the agent see and use in the current session. Long term memory, it's like a knowledge base that store in the vector format, retrieved by embedding. So this allow agent to things like I have seen this user before, or last time it is going to fail, let's adjust. Okay, this not just memory, that's a learning with the continuity. So final takeaway from this slide is, So when we just talk about agentic AI being intelligent, we not just talking about smarter decision. We are just talking about the persistence awareness. Memory is what allow an agent to grow, to adapt, to remember, and how to be helpful again and again. In the next part again, we'll just talk the various type of again capabilities, that is a reflect and the adapt. So now we just arrive at the final and the, we can say, most important capability of agentic AI, the ability to reflect and adapt. This is what agent become truly intelligent. It not just doing the task, it just watching itself to do it and taking the and then asking how can I do better in the next time. Okay, what is enables, that is basically a self reflection. So self reflection is basically the agent evaluate its own performance. Then we have adaptive learning, it improve across the iteration. We have error correction, that it fix problem and mid execution. We have a resource optimization, it just avoid the waste or any delay, and it just refine that strategy. It does not just repeat, it just evolves. So this adaptive cycle, you can just see, it just plan, it can execute, it reflect, and it refine. So this is not just one time things, these are the cycle happen continuously. Let's break it down. The plan is basically based on the goal and available context. Execute is the agent take the action. Reflect is it evaluate output, feedback, and any failure. And then we have refine, it improve the next cycle. That's what make it feel alive, not just scripted. So final thought from this slide is like, so what make agentic AI powerful? It's not just like the tools it can use, it's how it improve after using them. Just like a human team learns from a last quarter mistake, an agent learns from its own loop and optimize its growth. And this is the loop: plan, execute, reflect, and refine is what bring everything together. That's what a separate a tools from a thinking system. And this what this is, you will see this all thing a fully agentic AI capability stack. In our final wrap up, we'll just summarize how to bring all these capabilities together to build an intelligent goal agent on your own. Okay, now we are just going to move with the simple some of the use cases of agentic AI system. So now let's close, basically we'll just have some of the use case, and then after we can just close this session. And what's better domain to explore than the healthcare? So here how agentic AI is already being a part of use delivery, like personalized patient management across hospital, clinic, home care, and the system. So agentic care, you can just see in the left side. On the left side, we can see that AI agent at the car at the center of the care coordinator. It just receives the input from the doctors, pulls the medical reports, and observe ongoing patient data from the devices or the report, and any update that treatment plan account according whatever the feedback we are receiving, it just act. So this is not just is automation, this is like intelligent decision making, personalizing for every patient. Now we can just go with the really little details. Let's break it down by step. The agent being by monitoring the patient vitals in the real time using wearable sensor or say something like a digital healthcare record, they have something in the store. Then it analyze the trend across the past treatment and the outcomes. Based on that, it just then it just create a customized treatment plan unique to each patient. And then after we will have something like, here the agentic magic is going to have a new data comes in, the treatment plan is automatic adjusted, no need for the human to step in the every time. The agent the agent notify the patient, schedule the follow up, and then after based on that it just even sorry, based on that you can just even send a summary to the doctor about the full transparency. So what's exact happening inside this? In this use case, you are just going to see every capability we have just covered: reasoning, long-term memory. You can just see we just saw autonomy, and we just see about the collaboration, human collaboration. So basically, reasoning to adapt the plan as a health changes. Long-term memory to track trends over the weeks or the months. The autonomy to the agentic initiate the task without being told. and collaborative, it just update both the humans, doctor and the patient. This is not just support, this is a thinking agent at the heart of our human cares. So final line before our just going with the second use cases, this is like real promise of the agentic AI system that does not just react but proactively care and plan intelligent work side by side with us. So next we are just going to talk about logistic. Again, let's take one more real world example, and this is going to be really more interesting. We are just talking about logistic and how agentic AI transforming a, any operating from end to end. Think about like fleet routing, delivery timing, and fuel cost optimizing in the real time and the scale. So in the left side you can just see visualize that optimize load planning and routing, smarter route, dynamic decision. Then after it just maximize fleet utilization, keep trucks full, naval ideal. And then we have a reduced delivery time and fuel cost, real time reaction to a traffic weather delay. So this is the AI thinking like a supply chain strategy. Right side we can just again go in the deeper here how the system works behind the scene. It just monitors routes and delivery flow in the real time. It just analyze the any constraints such as time windows or loading zones or any traffic. It just find the optimal route, and based on that it just apply some of the condition. It has been changed, it might be changed, there is an accident or suddenly delay, the route is automatically adjust. So that's what autonomous reasoning powered by the live data. So we are just going to have different type of APIs. Then after we have the agent also identifies delivery delay, reschedule or reassigning this task. And then after we'll just generate a report for dispatch and drivers, making sure that humans stay in the loop. So agentic AI feature in the action like before, you will just notice every code capability it just play about the reasoning, it to calculate and recalculate the optimal path for the long term to fleet history or route trained. And then after we follow about the autonomy, it acts fast without waiting for approval. And then after it has human collaboration, alerts and summarize for the operation team. This is what it leads logistics team to scale decision across hundred of the vehicles without micromanagement. So final thought about the logistic, what you just think about, like, so whether you are just optimizing a healthcare or the any optimizing any operation logistic, it's like agentic AI can think, can decide, can adapt faster, and they are manual system. They just you can just say about they still keeps humans fully informed. It's not about like just they are taking blindly decision. They just involve even the human just to make sure like these are the things is happening inside the background. Again we'll just talk about the one of the most interesting like finance, from the trading desktop to a protocol manager. AI agent are transforming how we just execute, monitor, adapt finance strategy in the real time. Think is world of automatic trading and risk management. So on the left side you will just see three major responsibilities of you for the AI agents. The one is autonomous trading. The agent monitor market data, makes decision without manual input. Then we have execution, buy sell order. This is going to be one of the most important thing. It just acting on the predefined rules on any real time condition, and based on that is just ensembling and mitigate any risks, not just reacting the loss but predicting and premeditating any exposure we have, any risks we have. Again let's go little details. Like first the agent again collect the live finance marketing, then it analyze the risks and condition based on the market volatility, news, pricing patterns. Then after based on that it just execute any buy or the sell order. And this is where the agent become truly intelligent. So it just dynamically adjusts position based on the current risk exposure. So this is continues to monitor open the position, and then finally refine the strategy over the time based on the outcomes. So now what agentic AI capabilities, again you just saw about like reasoning for strategic and something like you can just say about like adjustment. Then after we have a long-term memory tracking the market trend. We just build an autonomy, just making the decision without delay. And finally we have executing trade through an API or any platform which we are using. So this is not an AI not just acting, but even in just investing in the intelligent. Again we are just going to talk about the final use case. So this final use case is basically is all about, to wrap up all our use case, let's bring it home like literally. So the first final example is all about the smart homes, how agentic AI is quite transforming energy management into intelligent adaptive process. So in the left side you can just see, you can end-to-end cycle of how AI agent manage energy into a smarter home. It just collect the system, gather the data from any devices or sensor they have. Then after this analyze it, just examining using patterns and trends over the time. It just give us a recommend. It just process the smarter lighting, any heating or the applicable schedule. And then after it just based on that, it just giving us a recommendation, and that it just adjusts the setting. So in the recommendation it process smarter lighting, heater, any energy process we have, or any heating or applicable schedule we have, and based on that it just adjusting the setting. Yes, it can make the change on its own. The home learn you preference and get the smarter every day. So again we'll just talk about the flow of right side. On the right side you can just see agentic loop in the in the motion again. Monitor use case like across the light, AC devices, and it just spot any insufficient where the power down or any delay hitting or any shift load, and based on that it just adapt in the real time based on the weather, occupancy, or you are just going to be route on that specific use case. And mostly important is basically it just adjusting happen automatic without user command. So that's what we call a refining the schedule to optimize for comfort, plus it just gives us the saving. Again the agentic AI bring us to together signature about the reasoning, to understand the pattern and the balance trade of long-term memory, to remember the seasonal routines, autonomy to act when needed, and then finally tool used to change actual device behavior. So this is home that things learn and adapt just like a human would if you had a time to do it. That's all. The final thought we can just see, whether it's just saving energy or reducing your bills or just creating a comfort, agentic AI just transforming everyday space into intelligent personalized environment. And this kind of system is not like science fiction anymore, it's just being built today. Up next we are just going to wrap up this thing, from how agent reason, plan, reflect, to how they adapt across healthcare, logistics, smart home, and the finance. We have seen what it means to move from automation to intelligence. If you just found the valuable, don't forget to like and subscribe, share it someone building their own AI space. And if you are already gone with really deeper into a tools framework and how they actually build this agentic AI system, that exactly what coming up the next. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you.